Is the reality that you live in a reality of fear, a reality of pain, a reality of lack, a reality of those? Those things are real for you as well. But is that your real reality? Masati, and welcome to my podcast, Xponential Intelligence, where a guide to breaking free from the matrix, or do you really want to? In this episode of Xponential Intelligence, we are going to be talking about the man who can bend the matrix. That would be me. Again, that's what I do. I bend space and time, literally distorting or controlling the matrix to your benefit. And that's what you want to do, by the way. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, the blue pill, the red pill, what actually is the matrix? Are we living in a simulated reality? Is there more than one matrix? What happens when you break free from the matrix? So it's a lot of content, so we'll just dive right into it. We always talk about the matrix. Elon Musk, they always say we're living in a simulated reality. Quantum physicists always talk about, say, simulated realities. But do they really understand what it's really about? Right? As I've read some of the notes, some of the studies, scientific studies on, the theories on simulated reality, quantum mechanics, quantum gravity, all those things, there are a lot of holes in that I can actually say explain. And why can I explain that? I don't have a background in science or anything like that, but I'm in the matrix. I live the matrix. I can actually see it. I'm actually removed myself of the matrix to see it from a different, say, perspective or clarity. How do you do that? Well, I've had 2 near-death experiences. As you have, say, a near-death experience, and you do it right, by the way, right? You do it right like I did. By the way, you don't have to have a near-death experience to have abilities like mine. You do it right, you can step out of the matrix and then start to jump back into it where you want. And we're going to talk about all the cool stuff, even cooler than what the Matrix 4 movie is about. And again, the other Matrix movie is awesome movie. I'm sure Matrix 4 is going to be good as well. But this is real life, say, Matrix. So, what actually is the matrix? It's a good place to start. We need to define that variable. There's so many, say, definitions of the matrix or what it's really about. Some of it might be real, some of it might be conspiracy theories, all that. The government is controlling the matrix. Really, you can't control the matrix, okay? One thing is, no one controls the matrix. So what is the matrix? That can't be controlled. Well, it's a set of guidelines or basically a global setting. If you want to talk about it as a consciousness, okay? And I talk about a consciousness, the logistics, definitions of a consciousness on my other show, The Moss Experience, on the Best You TV. You can get it in Hulu and some other platforms, or you can even download the Best You TV app. We get a lot of great, say, shows on the Best You TV, by the way. So that explains on the Moss Experience the consciousness effect. What is the consciousness? How realities, how consciousness affects realities and all that. I'm not going to get into all the details. That would be a lecture of its own. But simply put, the matrix is a set of guidelines on what you can do in this reality. Okay? Think of it as an operating system. You have a Mac operating system. You have, like, for example, this Remarkable 2. It's got its own operating system. It dictates what you can do or can't do in on this tablet, right? A Mac operating system. Even if you're running the same application, okay, like Google Maps. Even if you're running the same application, Google Maps or Word or Numbers or whatever it is, it's going to be different. It's going to run different on, say, a Mac operating system because it's a different standard parameters compared to an app, compared to a Microsoft operating system or an Android operating system. So overall, the matrix is literally a platform or a global setting or the operating system on how this reality works. It affects it, or it helps you understand how time and space work. So it gives you the first controller, the first property of this matrix is space and time, how space and time is defined. Now, if you go into another matrix or another consciousness, well, time and space could be defined differently. In this reality, or in this matrix, time and space is defined as, say, as a 24-hour day, okay? Plus minus a couple minutes. But again, a 24-hour day, right? Again, in another, say, reality, a day could be 36 hours according to this reality, or in comparison to this reality, or it could be longer, it could be shorter. Again, it defines, and that's not just, say, length of time here. It actually defines how space works, or how realities work, how density works. So it's not just about time and space as we know it. It literally defines how you can create, what you can create, what materials you can use to create. Okay? So we can go deeper and deeper and deeper into that, but this is just an overview on the lecture series that I have. We can go into the deeper science behind it, you know, where I show you charts, graphs, and so on like that to explain the deeper versions. Not only just explain it for you, but then we have deep state meditations if you are ready. So these are higher level XI students, you know, medium to advanced students that can get into, say, different realities or different matrices that we can get you into, so you can enhance what you are here today, or how you live here today. It's really, really cool. So what actually is a matrix? Describe that for you. Again, a matrix is an operating system. It dictates what you can and cannot do. Not just what you can and cannot do. It dictates how you render and how you create yourself here, the abilities that you have here, the emotions that you have here. Say, for example, that somebody controls the matrix, okay? Nobody controls the matrix, by the way. It's a blockchain technology. Okay? Again, nobody can control the matrix, okay? But say somebody did. So in this matrix, we decided to, say, delete. We decided to delete laughter, or we decided to delete pain, or we decided to delete whatever, okay? So these are all possibilities that we can create, okay? So we decided to delete that. If that's deleted, that program or that algorithm is deleted for you, you will not be able to experience laughter, for example. Simple as that. It's just not there. You might have, say, the propensity, but if you delete it, it's gone. You can never experience it because it doesn't exist anymore. Just like this application, right? The programmer who wrote the code deletes, say, some of the functions on this. You can't access it anymore. The same way here. So the matrix is not about just what you can or cannot do. It's literally how you render yourself in the reality that you exist in. So if there's a reality, like in the Matrix 4 movie, just watching the trailer, right? He had immense abilities to push somebody out of space or whatever he was trying to do, right? There's a reality that could give you immense power. There's a reality that, could give you enhanced abilities. There's a reality that can, help you age younger and all those things. It's a really cool concept, right? Well, I do that for people all day, every day. That's how I change people. I don't use psychology or NLP or anything. Those are, again, they're good, but they're really outdated. These are concepts way beyond what science can even think of. Again, I live in this platform all the time, and I've changed hundreds of thousands of lives, if not millions, through extension by, again, editing somebody's reality or editing how they see or how they live, exist in this reality. Again, bending the matrix. So number two, second question, are we living in a simulated reality? Is it simulated? Are you real? Are you not real? Well, you're as real as the simulation that you create. So in a sense, you are real, okay? If you are real, your experiences are real. Okay? It's an extension of you. So if you think that's a simulation, then, well, you're simulated. But if you step back a bit, okay? So how do you get created? How are you creating this simulation of your body? Your body, I guess, would be considered a simulation because the real you is not even here. The real you is a timeless being. The real you is an infinite being. If you want to call it your spirit, you can. I tend not to use that word because, well, it's so ill-defined and so misrepresented. So your timeless being, your limitless self, okay, that it wants to create a reflection of itself. So as it does, it has to jump into a matrix of, say, something that is considered time and space, because that's the only way you can have density, again, by time and space. If you eliminate time, space ceases to exist. If you eliminate space, time ceases to exist. So those two, again, variables, or actually they're constants, although some physicists think they're variables, those two work in hand in this matrix to create or render how you render yourself, or how you create yourself. So this, your body here, all that you see is an extension of who you are. So if you think that's a simulation, or is it real, I would consider it's real, because it is you. Is the reality that you're living in? I think that's a deeper question that we have to ask. Because within the matrix, there are different realities that you could live in. Is the reality that you live in a reality of fear, a reality of pain, a reality of lack, a reality of those things are real for you as well. But is that your real reality? No, it's not. You should always be living in 100% abundance. That reality is real. All the other possible realities for you is simulated through your experiences. So let me give you an example, okay? So say your brilliant self, okay, your limitless self, okay, has, again, your brilliant self, your limitless self has all the possibilities, but it can't experience those possibilities one at a time. So it has to jump into a matrix to create time and space, so it creates or enjoys its reflection, say, one at a time. Otherwise, it would happen all at once, right? Again, according to Einstein, according to what I see as well. So again, we've created this great opportunity, or what's called a matrix, to create time and space, where we can see a reflection of ourselves, right? And really embrace it. So what that means is that the pure reflection of who you are, your limitless self, that's the only real reality, okay? Everything else is simulation. So what that means, okay, and I'll go, and I've explained it different ways because different people hear it differently. So your limitless self at its purest state, the first, say, step, or the first layer that you get into is your, say, that your superhuman abilities, all the possibilities that you can do in human form in this case. Okay? Now, if you're a squirrel, all the possibilities a squirrel can do. Okay? So at the top level, you have access to all the possibilities of who you can be, what you can do, your strengths, and your supernatural abilities. All those things are, say, clearly created for you. The only one reality that exists. Everything else, what you're experiencing, is simulated. The reason why it's simulated is because, let me explain it a bit differently. So you have a projector, okay? You have a projector, it's casting its light. And as it casts its light, and you've got, say, opaque screens, so it's see-through screens, right? So the first light, or the first filter, right? The purest of who you could be hits the first filter, okay? Hits the first, say, reality. That is what's created in space and time, your full potential, okay? The next screen over, right? So this is pure. The next screen over, to help you create more density, or to help you understand this reality more, there's another filter, and then another filter, and another filter, and another filter. These are all simulated realities of who you are. Okay? So a simulated reality of abuse, which is a filter way the hell down here, because that is not part of your, say, limitless potential, right? Being abused, being shortchanged, being whatever, not understanding who you are, where you are, and all that stuff. Again, addiction, abuse. By the way, we're doing an addiction series. You might want to take a look at that for those who are addicted. So all those things, being, say, successful, being not successful, whatever it is, those things are out here. So the closer you get to, say, that one reality that exists, okay? You being, say, defined as a man or woman or whatever in between, is a simulated reality. Because in your real version of who you are, you're neither. You are, again, your limitless potential of who you are. You have no gender, because that would limit you. In your best possible version, again, you are both, okay? And not the way we define male, female here, because that's really fucked up, because that definition is not a pure definition of it. It's way the hell out here, okay? So again, anything that you experience here is all simulated, because we can't access the first layer, the first reality that is pure. Again, that is the only existence that's real. Everything else is a version of it. And depending on where you are in realities, you get, say, a different flavor of who you are, or you can create that simulation of who you are. That makes sense to you. So now we understand, are we living in a simulated reality? Well, what do you think? If your life is really, really fucked up, you're living in a simulated reality. If your life is really, say, grand, that's a simulated reality, okay? Can you be grand? Of course you can, but without, say, the sacrifice and the distortions and all those things that we experience, okay? So that's a possibility for you as well. By the way, for those of you who really want to start a fresh life, coming up in 2022, early part of 2022, we've got the total human reset coming up. Really resetting you in the matrix to get you as close as the one reality that exists, the one reality that is true. Every other reality, again, is simulated or not you, okay? So look for that. Is there more than one matrix? Really fantastic question. Is there more than one matrix? Like I said earlier, we kind of covered this. Yes, there is. And that simply is there a universe? And by the way, the matrix is not just Earth here or human consciousness here. That's just a tiny bit of what this is about. By the way, your physical world here, all the aspects of the planetary systems, the universe, and all the stars and everything in it is literally about 1, maybe 2% of the possibilities that can exist in this matrix. And that's all one matrix, okay? It's all dictated by, again, the first laws of how space and time work here, okay? Are there other matrices? Yes, there's more than one matrix, but you really, you rarely, or you don't need to, say, experience those other matrices, by the way. But to answer the question, is there more than one matrix? Yes. And most likely, those matrices are different values of how time and space work hand in hand with each other. Or there could be another value that we don't know about, right? But again, it's about creating an experience, or creating, say, a reflection, or creating a reference point. So that's why matrices, if you've ever, what's like, why the hell did we create a matrix? Why did we create, time and space? Why don't we just stay in our heavenly state? Well, this is the reason why. Because if you didn't, you couldn't see a reflection of where you are, and then all things would happen to you at once, and you couldn't really enjoy the beauty and grandness that you are. So you would need, again, a reference point. What better reference point, again, is separating yourself. So that's what the matrix is really about, or any matrix is about, is, again, is separating your identity so you can see where you are. Simple as that. The blue pill, the red pill, okay? So in the movies, there's a blue pill, there's a red pill, and even in the picture, the poster for the new movie, The Matrix 4, they just have the blue pill and the red pill. So let's get into, say, what that is about. Because can you change different realities? Of course you can. So the blue pill is really, the significance of it is the blue pill. It's where you take the blue pill, and it's like blissful ignorance of illusion. So basically what you live in today. And for some people, unfortunately, it's not so blissful. But basically this is an illusion. You're starting to see the simulation, again, simulated realities that you exist in. Okay? So that's the blue pill. You're living in ignorance. And that's why they say, ignorance is bliss. This is why. Okay? The red pill. And it's so interesting, when I read the definition of it. It's embracing the painful truth of reality. Think of it. Those who have gone through XI, what happens to you? You awaken from the matrix, and the painful truth of how off you are hits you in the face. Some of you, a little light slap. Some of you just knocks you over. It's like a 2x6 hitting you in the side of your face, just knocking you flat on your ass, right? So that's the red pill. You can think of it again. XI is the red pill. So once you take it, you can't go back to the blue pill. That's the key.